Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, dear Ruslan. Mr. Chairman of the Verkhovna Rada, dear Mr. Prime Minister, everyone present, thank you for such a special, very special format of the meeting. Dear attendees, dear guests, dear chairmen and representatives of the parliaments of our friends, European states, dear friends. I am grateful to you for the fact that today we are all gathered here together. We are in Bucha today, in our Ukrainian city, where the world 3 years ago began to understand for the first time the full scale of Russian aggression against Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. The world then saw civilians killed on the streets, as in this video, on the streets of Bucha, saw evidence of abuse, saw evidence of torture, which showed that this was not just a war of one state against another. This is a full-scale confrontation between two systems of ours, that is the European system, in which human life and dignity matter, and of the Russian system, in which anyone can be killed, anyone can be abused, anyone can be deprived of their home. And namely, what is the Russian system, what are people? That brought up by their system, by their state, the world saw here, on the streets of our town of Bucha. And after that, no one can say, as if they do not know or understand what happened in Bucha, in many other Ukrainian cities, in many of our small villages. From the village of Yaidna in the Chernihiv region, where the Russian occupiers kept everyone, all the inhabitants of the village in the basement of the school for more than 3 weeks, to our Mariupol, which was destroyed, completely burned by Russian strikes. We remember the catastrophe of every such city in Ukraine, each of our villages. Everyone sees what happened to Bakhmut, what happened to Avdiivka, Volodar, many of our other cities, towns, villages that actually ceased to exist. There is nothing but ruins there, because this is how the Russian flag comes. We remember every Russian strike, we remember how they destroyed our people, our prisoners of war in Olenivka. We remember how people were abused in isolation in Donetsk, in a prison that became the personification of the Russian world. One of the biggest and most eloquent symbols of the Russian system and this Russian war against Ukraine has become graves. Graves of ordinary people in the yards of their homes. It can never be forgotten. All these are man-made disasters. These are crimes not only of the Russian state, but also of specific persons, of specific Russian occupiers, each of which has a name, has a surname, and he must be condemned by the law for all that he has done. We will not forgive Russian crimes and this whole war. To forgive it would be to agree. To agree that such a system as the current Russian one supposedly has the right to exist and to expand at the expense of other peoples. A system that is fed by humans. And I would like to ask everyone present now. I want to thank that all the states represented here are at such a high level. But I would like to ask all of us to honor the memory of Ukrainians whose lives were taken by Russian aggression with a minute of silence. Here in Bucha and in our other cities and villages. Please. Thank you very much. Please sit down. Thank you, dear friends. Dear friends, the strength of parliaments is in the ability to unite different people, different parts of society. When there is a really strong value base and a great goal, parliaments gather a tangible majority. We all need just such a force of unity. We all need such a tangible majority. We all want to end this war as soon as possible with guaranteed security, which is very important, lasting peace and dignity. And what does it mean, dignity? This means that Russia should not benefit or reward from this war, and should not avoid fair responsibility for what they have done. There cannot be just a normalization of evil. That is, just a return to the attitude as it was before, that we all see now. To such a Russia, more than 183,000 crimes related to the aggression of the Russian Federation have already been recorded. And this is without access to a significant part of the temporarily occupied territory of our state. There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of crimes. And definitely, tens of thousands of losses. Among all this are thousands of extremely violent crimes. Executions of prisoners, executions of civilians, rape, torture. No one in Europe would want their children, God forbid, to be next to one of such Russian criminals. We need effective international law to guarantee our people and the entire European society protection from such threats. Justice must be ensured so that evil does not multiply. Pressure on Russia, sanctions against it are needed so that the war and bullying do not expand. Everyone understands this. To everyone who does not turn a blind eye to reality, does not close its ears to the truth, I ask you all to continue to support our defense, to support our desire for peace, support the spread of the truth about this unjust war, and maintain everything which is necessary for the sake of a decent peace and real responsibility of war criminals. Please remember that Bucha is not somewhere in Ukraine. This is what can happen in any European country. If our unity does not work now for the sake of Russia's real responsibility for this war. Thank you again for your support, for participating in this important summit. And thank you from all our people, that you have been supporting life in Ukraine with us since the first days. Life and struggle for this life. Glory to Ukraine. Thank you.